Hello and welcome back to Nerd News Today Toy Fair 2021. And this time around, we're not looking at any toys, but we're looking at something else that's, I think, a little bit more important today. We're joined right now by Daniel Sanchez from the Heroic Inner Kids charity organization. Daniel does some really amazing stuff with his group. We're going to talk about that in a few moments. But first things first, Daniel, can you tell us what was your favorite toy as a kid growing up?
Oh, I can tell you, I can actually show you. This is my original 1970s, early 1970s Batmobile. Uh, Still the blue Batman and the completely yellow Robin with the smash marks on the front from all the times that I zoomed it across my wooden floor in Decatur, Georgia. And, you got to find out how fast the Batmobile goes. And so you got to try it out against every wall, over every surface. And so that is my most absolute beloved toy.
That's awesome. And it's so cool seeing it as still a part of your collection to this day, the original, the same one you
Mhm.
had.
Same one.
So, as we mentioned, you are the person behind the Heroic Inner Kids charity, a registered 501c organization. So, can you tell us first a little bit about what was the impetus behind creating this organization?
So I am the current national president. The founder's impetus was that she came from a community of cosplayers who wanted to start doing some good in the community. She herself had really heroically struggled against some of her own physical challenges. And so she had a real empathy for parents of children who have special needs and the kids themselves. And so there were some like-minded cosplayers, some big-hearted people. And the original idea was, what if your favorite hero came to visit you at the hospital? It was that simple. And so that grew and grew, and we now cover Oklahoma and Texas. And with the new world of online, we can talk to a child anywhere and bring them a smile. But it was truly that simple.
So, you guys offer a few different services for children. So, can you kind of run down a few of the different things that Heroic Inner Kids is doing?
Sure. One of our recent programs was contactless Christmas gift delivery. So, as a matter of fact, on January 6th, while much of the nation was glued to the television, we had already planned that day to be a delivery day. So it just worked out that some of these families will now remember that was the day that gifts showed up at their door from Heroic Inner Kids. We work these out in advance with the parents. So they are carefully handled so as to be completely safe. And we get little sneak ideas of what the kids would like or want. For example, there's a child in a wheelchair who doesn't really use shoes very much, but his feet are always cold. So we brought superhero socks that were just his favorite thing of all kind of things. So it really it's great to get that rapport with the families, to understand what it is that is valuable in their world and what they have going on. Also, we have what I'm very proud of is a program called the Empathy Experience. And that is a collection of Braille typewriters, walking assistance canes, children-sized wheelchairs, hearing activities with the concept of letting a child touch an object that they might not ordinarily know what it's about. And if they saw another child either using it or relying on it, the unknown would create a distance between themselves and that child. Whereas if you can actually bring a Braille typewriter to a table at a comic book convention, for example, and let the kids type their name in it. We've got a nice little instruction guide here where they can see this is how I type my name. It's a bit like playing a piano and it's not that difficult to figure out. But maybe one day when they see another child using a Braille machine, now they have something in common. Now they have something that can make them friends as opposed to something that they don't understand. So we've got that program going. And as a matter of fact, it's been authorized by the Boy Scouts of America and the scouting troops as a certified way that those kids can earn a badge. So that's pretty amazing.
So, I believe the crux, or I guess the starting point of this organization was literally having superheroes visit children in children's hospitals and hospices to kind of, I guess, perk them up, make them feel better, and just bring something different and exciting and happy into their lives, right? Is that kind of where things began?
Absolutely. And you can't really even begin to quantify the value of that. For example, we had Wonder Woman visit a child in a hospital who wasn't eating, hadn't eaten for 2 days. After that visit, Wonder Woman was told by the parents the next day that as soon as she left, the child wanted to eat. She wanted to be strong like Wonder Woman. So there's a power that comes with a visit like that, that no matter how capable the medical staff, there's just something about wanting to make a hero proud of you that um, these kids can really benefit from. Um, Also, there are some kids who are in home care, and so they have nurses that take care of them in the home. So they're not in a hospital, but very few people come to see them. And so we will try to work out home visits as well. And we make sure to take care of the siblings so that the focus sometimes is not always on the child with special needs, but the siblings as well.
I was reading the website. I saw that was a thing that you guys mentioned was that you make sure that the siblings are also taken care of and given attention. I think that's also a really great thing to do because it does feel
Mhm.
like sometimes those kids are probably feeling maybe overlooked, that they're not as special. So it's wonderful that you're making sure that everybody gets the complete package, if you will.
Yeah, and when you get to meet these siblings, like they're such big-hearted caretakers. I mean, they really pitch in the family, and so it's just really nice when sometimes they can have a moment where they're appreciated.
So of course we're doing this now. We're talking during the pandemic, and so you have had to make some adaptations for how you're doing these visitations. So I guess a lot of times these days it's happening by Zoom, right?
It is. We did a big call with Cook's Children's Hospital, and we had a row of heroes at the top screen, and kids from everywhere could stay in their rooms and dial in and ask Superman questions or Batman questions. So yeah, we've very much adapted to the new world. We also have used Amazon quite a bit to send not just gifts but also supplies. A box of crayons and some paper go a long way to people at home to keep some of their kids occupied during this time. And we've started our new program of sending Braille letters. So obviously that's happening through the mail. But if there's a will, there's a way. If you want to help a kid, you can find it. You can find a way.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Braille letters because that's actually how I found out about you guys initially. Was I found this article about you guys and what you're doing with the Braille letters and which superhero you're doing it with. That's a personal favorite of mine. So can you tell our audience today a little bit more about this new Braille letter writing campaign?
Well, I can't tell you what superhero we're doing it with. That would be divulging too much. However, there is a particular blind superhero who may or may not also be a lawyer, named Matt Burdock, aka Daredevil. And with the donation of 3 Braille machines that were given to Heroic Inner Kids, our first idea was to do the empathy experience. But later, as we saw some of the other possibilities, we realized this could be one of them, that Daredevil himself could send a letter to a child. So I started on Google and taught myself just a very, very basic letter by letter version of Braille. I'm a graphic designer by trade, so I can pause the screen on Netflix and recreate the Nelson and Murdoch logo. And between those efforts, I'll turn it so the sun can see it a little better. This is a Braille letter. So it's printed on cardstock, and you slide it in the Braille machine and you type very carefully. There's no whiteout in Braille. But this is what we're starting to send out. And since our post originally, we've had going on 3,500 shares, which is just tremendous. Um, and the most important thing, of course, is we're getting all kinds of emails from people who are telling us these great stories of their kids who have either recently lost their sight, or they lost it as children, or they're not completely blind, but still very visually impaired, and they love superheroes, and they identify with the courage of Daredevil, just moving on. So that's the heartwarming thing, is opening up my email box every day and reading another story of another great kid.
So you mentioned a few of the states that you're doing this in. You can remind us again about that as well. But are there plans to expand into other states once it is safe to actually have in-person meetings and in-person visitations?
Well, Texas is pretty big. So
Everything's bigger in Texas.
between Texas and Oklahoma, we're mostly in the Dallas and Fort Worth and northern Texas region. Um, Houston has some wonderful cancer centers for children. So if we do decide to expand further out into Texas, I think we'd very much like to go and meet some of those hospitals and see if we can't work with them.
So, who would you say is the most requested character to do visitations?
Oh, Batman's pretty popular. Black Panther as well is really really popular. Wonder Woman always requested. Superman is also a top request. The cast of Frozen, huge. So yeah, we also, by the way, I should say we have princesses and princes. We have Star Wars characters. We have a 6'5" Chewbacca, and when kids see him, they absolutely believe. They truly believe. We have a guy who's got a working BB-8. We have a really pitch perfect Ray. Um, so anything that is the child's favorite, we've got to volunteer.
And obviously, the purpose of me getting you on this channel here is because I want to have my viewers hopefully donate to you and learn more about you, follow you guys on social media. But beyond that, there's also other things we can do here because I know there's a lot of cosplayers who are on my channel, and I believe you guys are also recruiting to have more superheroes join your team, right?
We are, yes. We can never have enough. There are many times where we'll have two events on the same day. So if you have a love of making another human being smile and you're a cosplayer and you care, please reach out to heroicinnerkids.org. Also, any donation is appreciated. We're currently operating on just 3 Braille machines, and we would love to have more to take to the scouting events, to take to the conventions, to have multiple centers where people can make the letters. We already have a couple of volunteers who are very good at not just grade 1, but grade 2 of Braille, which is the more advanced. For those people who may not know, grade 1 is where you spell every word letter by letter. Grade 2 is more like Matt Murdock would type as an adult, the advanced version. But we've got any number of deliveries that we make. So even if you're not a cosplayer, we have phone calls of events and coordinating things. So all types of volunteers are welcome.
And we should add that because you are a registered 501c, any donations are tax deductible, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, please. It's easy to find. Heroicinnerkids.org. There's a big orange button on the right. And I promise you, it goes to presents. And we also do things, by the way, like medical equipment. We'll buy batteries for wheelchairs. We'll upgrade devices that kids need. We have given children learning pads. So depending on their level of development, they often will interact very well with a learning tablet. So by all means, help us with that.
So, what would you say are the long-term goals of Heroic Inner Kids? Where do you want to see this organization be in 5 years from now?
You'd think I'd been asked that before. One thing that I would really love would be to hear from kids who went through our empathy experience, tell us a story of when they did meet a child and they had those things in common and they did make a friend. Another thing that we always love to hear is families who pay it forward. We have one wheelchair that has passed between 3 families now, all through the connections that they made with each other through Heroic Inner Kids. And I would love to see us be a place that people go just to volunteer their time and feel like there's no day that you can't do something, and there's a place where you can.
So, one last time, can you remind our audience today how to find out more, how to donate, or how to just take action in any kind of number of ways?
Heroicinnerkids.org. You can contact us there nationally, or you can find us either in Texas or Oklahoma. You can request a visit. You can send us a message. You can ask a question. You can give us an idea. Perhaps there's a way that we can bring some joy to some kids that we haven't thought of yet. So by all means, heroicinnerkids.org. We're always there.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much for telling us about Heroic Inner Kids, and we're going to have links to everything we mentioned in the show notes below, so make sure you take a look at those if you're interested in taking action of any kind with the organization. So, Daniel, again, thank you so much today for educating us all about Heroic Inner Kids.
Thanks for having us.
And everybody else, stay tuned. We got more nerd news today, Toy Fair 2021 coming right up.